Hey guys, it's Clay from Clear Critique, and today I want to talk about some of the most awesome aspects of horror, and that's the music. And I've had it up to here with low-effort lunch break lists that just regurgitate the same movies without having done any research. I'm tired of it. With that, here are my top 10 horror original scores. Let's do it. Real quick, plenty of movies have a great theme song, but that does not necessarily a great score make. So don't expect Halloween on this list, and if you don't believe me, just rewatch it. I like the film, but just rewatch it. Also, I'm not including movies where most of the music was previously recorded, so no Shining today, folks. There's a word that gets used a lot in reviews when talking about music, and it's soundscape. And soundscape can come across as a bit pretentious, like calling a cocktail a bouquet of flavors. Watching The Lighthouse earns the word. The score isn't some collection of melodic tracks, it's one evolving soundscape. You are placed somewhere new from credits to credits, and that place is ominous, dark, and almost alien. In an interview, Mark Coven described these tones he creates as being primordial, so ancient it's from the beginning of the universe. He did such a great job. Low and slow and earthy, like the groaning of some beast or shifting tectonic plates. I don't think this could have been more immersive if he tried. Number 9 is going to In Fabric. The score is done by a group called Cavern of Antimatter. It's not a new thing for a movie to combine the cheery and the creepy to enhance the latter. In Fabric does that for the entire runtime. The bright melodies and how they're repeated makes a statement on advertising jingles and mall music, how they're engineered to hypnotize you with happiness and discounts. The score takes that theme and twists it. How do I put this? It's like a host on QVC on the verge of committing mass murder in the studio. I know this is a horrible image, but when you watch the film, I really feel like that exemplifies it. The music is a smile that lasts too long. 28 Days Later by John Murphy gets number 8. What stands out about this one, other than the fact it's just great, is that there's a lot of guitar. What I always find interesting about when a soundtrack focuses on a specific instrument is that they test its boundaries. There's a lot you can do with electric guitar. Electric guitar can be slow and grungy. It can be quite sweet and melodic, or just straight up heavy and crunchy. 20 Days Later uses them all wonderfully. To me, the electric guitar, or how it was used, fits the style of this film because it's unpolished. The characters don't look like actors or models. They're normal, unshowered, and desperate. The visuals are rough and gritty. The cities are gray and overgrown with trash. So having an instrument that can feel kind of dirty is a match made in heaven for me. Number 7 is It Follows by Disaster Piece. I'm gonna get some angry comments about this because every time I bring up It Follows, I always get them. I love this film. One of the standouts is definitely the music. It uses a lot of synth, which helps set it in this kind of quasi-80s time period. Similar to 20 Days Later, this film really showcased how much variety you can get when using synth. And what I appreciate the most are the kind of calm but very ominous moments, the anxiety before the storm. The success of this film rides on you feeling anxious. I was never fully relaxed, and the music is a huge part of that.
See? Everything's okay.
There's something almost airy about the music, but it doesn't make it cheerful. It makes it vulnerable. The texture of a lot of these tracks hit home that these characters are young, innocent, and kind of frail. And at any moment, a peaceful scene can be disturbed. Now we're cooking. Sixth place is Under the Skin by Mika Levy. I hope I pronounced that right. Can we talk about the intro? Everyone needs to see the intro of this movie. Even if you don't see the whole thing, it is a little slow. You have to see the intro. Find it on YouTube. Try to find it in good quality. It's one of the best horror openings ever. It's fantastic. It's not your standard violin stings or depressing trills on a piano. The rhythm is atypical, and there's a repetition of a certain melody. It features these percussive slaps that make it sound almost ritualistic. And all these scenes become more and more disturbing every time that melody is reintroduced. It's hypnotizing you, but in the most unpleasant way, because the melody itself and the way the strings are drawn out are kind of lulling you in, just like they are for the character. And the fact that this is all ritualistic makes me wonder, how often is this happening? It seems almost kind of blasé to the people committing them. Like, meh, Mondays, like, am I right? Even the printer's out of paper.
Oh, I need to go meet somebody.
Are you going to meet someone?
Aye.
All right, well, thank you.
Alien, entrancing, and scary as hell. Top 5 is Sinister by Christopher Young. No one talks about the soundtrack to this movie. I do not understand this. Some of the hype for this movie is a bit weird. It was declared the scariest movie of all time because it recorded the fastest heart rates, which to me is like saying the greatest beer is the one that produces the meatiest burp. All right? That doesn't fly with me. On the other hand, the soundtrack is super underrated. Probably the most experimental score on this list. It's almost like they tried everything, but it wasn't haphazard. The scariest parts of the movie for me is the 8mm tape footage, and that silence on the tapes was filled masterfully by the music. You haven't heard music like that combined with footage like that, so you're confused with fear. You're on unfamiliar ground. For a lot of these scenes, it seems like the music is taunting you. When these scenes start, you aren't really sure what to make of it, and I think that puts the viewer in such a perfect place to scare. Number 4, Perfect Blue by Masahiro Ikumi. It's so good. It's so fucking good. If I were to narrow down why it's so great, it's about alternating and combining. Just bear with me. In the story, a girl is leaving a popular girl band to pursue acting, which infuriates a stalker. So in the score, we get this contrast between catchy singles from the band and these low-pitch, disturbing ambient tracks. Already good contrast, but then as the film progresses, the protagonist mentally unravels. She has trouble distinguishing fantasy from reality. The pop songs now become caustic. It's teamwork, the plot and the score. Creepy, it's smart, very memorable. Holy hell, does Perfect Blue nail it. Number 3 is the Suspiria remake from 2018, which was composed by Tom York, better known as the singer from Radiohead. Suspiria has one of the best uses of a song with lyrics to open a film I've ever witnessed. It's perfection. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but there is so much variety in this score. You got this drifting shoegaze that's reminiscent of Radiohead. You have these dramatic synth chords, And then you have these sinister piano melodies that sound like they're being played on a very old piano. The same piano that they probably use in these scenes in this dance studio. All of these styles match each scene, especially, that scene. It's entrancing in a way. Like, you can't stop listening or look away, even when the scene or the music is absolutely horrifying. This is about a coven of witches in a dance studio, so it should be upsetting, but in a rhythmic way. It's really hard to not turn this video into some kind of lecture about why the Oscars clearly hate the horror genre. They do, by the way, they hate it. I don't know why they hate it, but they hate it. Woo! But if this best score snub hurts, the next one was straight up bullshit. Runner-up is a movie that honestly almost got number one, and that is Midsommar by Bobby Krilic. This is just a masterpiece. Just like the, daytime visuals, most of this movie takes place during the day, the music, other than some specific moments, isn't scary in the usual sense. The string melodies are uplifting without too many shifts into minor keys. The events of this film, tied with this gorgeous music, makes you feel kind of sick watching it. To me, it's like the film is delighting in its own disturbia. It's skipping along with these horrible things that are happening.
Oh, man. Wow. It's like painted scripture.
And when it does switch into these more intense moods, you feel as trapped and discombobulated as the characters. The obvious example is the emotional haymaker in the first act, where the strings are practically wailing in pain. The final track is phenomenal. Go on Spotify, go on YouTube, listen to some of these tracks. This is masterful, purposeful music. Now, before I get to number one, here are some honorable mentions.
Well, we're waiting.
I almost don't want this to be number one because it's so unoriginal, but I have to be true to myself, and even leaving behind its gargantuan impact on the genre, just ignoring all of that, the score to Psycho by Bernard Herrmann is the best horror score I've ever heard. Shower scenes in modern horror, I'm sorry, they're still shit in comparison. Those violins, oh my god, those violins literally cut into the scene like a knife. It's insane how much variety Herrmann got from his string instruments. This entire score is pretty much just strings. There's always something new to experience. What I love so dearly is that from jump, the music makes you nervous. From the rather abrasive opening credits, the ominous opening scene, the tense driving sequences, big scary moments, someone just walking from a house to a hotel, all of it. It's all different shades of horror, but it's definitely horror. I have a soft spot for movies that are at least tense from start to finish, where you never feel safe. If a horror film can do that, especially with its soundtrack, I can do nothing but applaud.
Oh, absolutely. If it's unfamiliar to you, that's sort of the essence of horror. It's fear of the unknown. And in my case, it's fear of sonic strangeness.